What is going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today I want to talk to you about Lucid. Market closed roughly an hour ago. I want to go over some of the data points, but more specifically what shorts did. Before we get into any of that, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So Lucid did do fairly well alongside much of the greater market. So it went up 1.87%, 1333 the low, 1373 the high. And surprisingly, even though the market did close early, we had 3.1 million shares being traded. So pretty good stuff. One thing that really fueled the broader market wasn't really any data points or anything. Rather, it was this right here. So Trump says that we may be cutting income tax almost completely because of the tariffs. So is this another one of those things that Trump mentions and nothing really happens? Or is this going to just add just the market expansion or add to the market expansion? So let me know your general thoughts. Even this individual right here, time to move to America. I definitely feel the same way, because if you guys are getting, what is that, 2,000 stimulus check ASAP, I know it was originally planned for mid-2026. If that's being moved up and you have this too, then why the hell not? But aside from that though, big point of this video is shorts. So as I've mentioned in kind of the last couple of videos, is that Friday, typically a lot of big banks take today off, and that's no different than hedge funds and whatever else. And usually that does lead to lower volume. But based on today, we did have shorts return 417,000 shares. So they were fairly active today. Of course, just active meaning returning. But the fact that they were this active, it kind of signals that it is a foreign entity, whether it be Canadian or European or some other entity outside of the States. They most likely are the culprits on who is actually shorting Lucid. And I do believe I analyzed this like 2 years ago as well. Same type of situation did happen. So it's looks like foreign companies really shorting Lucid. I know I was looking through, one of my brokers in the past was able to give me the actual broker codes and where transactions were really occurring from. And there was always RBC. So RBC is often enough used as a trade desk. So most likely someone's using RBC, which is a Canadian bank, the largest Canadian bank out there. So possibly there might be some correlation with that on maybe who's shorting Lucid. So let me know your general thoughts on that in the comments below. Cost to borrow average is 16.65. DTC still fairly high, 4.4. So shorts are still very overextended despite them returning today. Short score is 80.34. Nothing really concrete coming out from the company today. No SEC filings, no press releases, no speculative topics on social media. And normally that's kind of a common case, right? Especially day after Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving on a side note to all the Americans out there. Hopefully everyone had a good day, but normally companies go kind of radio silent today. Aside from that, looking at the options, 357,000 in calls, 308 in puts, and then 47% of all the options being done are bullish in nature. From a bull standpoint, you see a consensus going into next week about 1450. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub 1250. So you do have a little bit more of a back and forth there. These are some of the transactions that did occur today on the secondary market. So it does look like, even though it was, again, a shorter day, institutions were buying Lucid up. And I think one scenario that is playing out is a kind of duplicate to September. And so even though pulling this up, when Lucid did run up right over here back in September, there really wasn't that much news. So Lucid was just merely piggybacking off the broader market. Algorithmic trading was one of the main kind of culprits as well, why Lucid did really move higher. It feels as though that we're going to be going through that same type of price action. So potentially that could take it to at least that 50-day moving average. And so that's sitting right now at 1861. No different than what happened this time back in September. It ultimately bounced off that 200-day moving average. Wasn't really enough there. And so you had kind of just AI signaling that there was a strong resistance, and it kind of took it down. Plus there was some other crap that did happen during this time frame, largely linked to consumers, but at least in the short term things might be getting a little bit better. It is also above that 10-day moving average, so signaling a little bit more of a growing demand. So let me know your general thoughts on that in the comments below. Aside from all of that, quickly going back over here, dark pool, there was no transactions today. So again, a lot of the kind of shorts were smaller transactions and so forth, with it closing at 1362. It is smack dab in the middle between these 2 points, or actually in fact it closed exactly on this R1. So going into next week, that's going to be a key pivot. Stay tuned for my video over the weekend where I go over some expectations and where it might be going potentially. But with it landing on here, it could kind of touch that 1424 again with that good pre-existing momentum. Aside from all of that fun stuff, quickly going over here, you do see a lot more willing buyers on the market position. Nothing really crazy for articles at all, so kind of quiet on that front as well. And there was no new analyst rating. So all in all, pretty successful day, and we did get a little bit of a additional insight to shorts. So I think it's most likely a Canadian entity or someone using RBC's trade desk. So it's definitely interesting. I know I've brought shorts up in the past because shorts have been a very big part of Lucid since almost day one. They seem to have magnified a little bit more when Lucid's ramped up, which is kind of interesting. But I've always thought that someone either was against Peter himself. A lot of people always speculated that it was Elon, but based on everything, I think it is fair to assume that someone is trying to really target the PIF. And I don't know exactly kind of the reasons behind that, but I think that's the only logical explanation. On one of my other YouTube channels, Financial Journey, I do the top 5 most heavily shorted EVs, and Lucid has been top by a far long shot for a very long time. So someone seems to really have a vendetta against Lucid, or I could be wrong. You never know. It could be Elon. Doubtful, but you never know. So let me know your general thoughts. Hopefully everyone had a good day yesterday. Have a good weekend ahead of them. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. I put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades, worthwhile to kind of pop over there and check that out. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.